And welcome to the Pride to Detroit PODcast, PrideToDetroit.com, Pride to Detroit on X, Pride to Detroit on Facebook, Pride to Detroit on Blue Sky. You know where to find us. You know what we're doing. We're coming to you live on twitch.tv/Pride to Detroit, youtube.com/@Pride to Detroit. We are still alive after all this time, which is remarkable, as we come up, I believe, on our 10-year anniversary with no fair and fair from me, just a sudden cold realization we've been talking about the Lions for 10 damn years. I'm Chris Perfett, the adequate host, at Perfett on Blue Sky, at Chris Perfett on X. On this episode, we have the gang all back, so we'll talk a little bit more about Frank Ragnow and some of the developments since we had our last emergency podcast last week about it. Talk a little bit about some OTAs and more interesting stuff going around the league. But let me introduce everyone else. Jeremy Reisman is back from Parts Unknown, the fearless leader at Detroit Online. Hey, buddy.
Hi. Sorry to everybody for leaving. I guess that was the butterfly effect that caused Frank Ragnow to retire, according to all of my mentions on Monday. So, my bad.
So we have a jersey curse for Jeremy. So he can't wear jerseys of Lions players, and now he also can't take vacations.
No. I'm just William H. Macy. I am the cooler.
I don't think I get that one.
It's from a movie called The Cooler,
starring William H. Macy.
That's right.
Oh, okay.
I think they like weaponize him as someone who is literally so much bad luck that they go to Vegas and like have him go around people to make them screw up.
Oh, okay. I think this slowly rings a bell in what remains of my cerebral cortex. You might have heard him there. That's Ryan Matthews. At Ryan_POD. Hey, Ryan.
Hey, Chris. How are you?
My city is in a lot of, once again the hotbed of fun things happening. What can I say?
Weather's got to be great, though, huh?
It's fantastic right now. It is like high 70s, and I just feel a cool breeze blowing through my open windows right here. It's fantastic. It's perfect weather to talk about the Detroit Lions and losing a star center. So last week, as Jeremy mentioned, he took a break. When he did, center Frank Ragnow retired. Myself and John Whitaker spoke about it in brief last Monday, but I think we should get some thoughts on the full crew around here, and I'll try to reiterate a few of my points, because new audience all the time in this business. And I guess the question is, you know what? I'm going to start with this, because we like our 1 to 10 scales. On a scale of 1 to 10, how big of a loss is this? 10 being huge.
I mean, like an 8, like an 8.5. It's a pretty big deal. Go ahead.
I'm going straight up to 9 for myself. Like, this is a center like this. We talked about it in brief, but like, you can't just replace. We talked a little bit about how the draft went with Gray Zabel doing one center practice and suddenly he was center one. A quality starting center, so not just an interior O-lineman, but like a dedicated center like this in the NFL is almost impossible to replace, and certainly not even more so middle of the off season. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Yeah, I mean it's more than just the play on the field too, right? It's the preparation that he brings. I think if you got an opportunity to watch Dan Skipper talk about Frank last week, I think he did a really good job breaking down what it means, and those two are obviously very close. Both of them were Arkansas players, so they played together in college, which I had completely forgot about. And obviously they've spent countless years here in Detroit. Let me pull the quote from him, from Dan Skipper. It says, "It's a tremendous loss. You can't minimize that loss. It's a huge load on everyone else because he shows up every day as the first one in the film room, knocking on the door, figuring out the game plan, all the weird looks, the weird calls that we fall into. That's on someone else now. He's not there. So collectively as a unit, whoever's playing center, they've got to do that. Jared's going to shoulder some of that load too, but collectively we all have to band together to find the weak points and stuff and get better." And so, yeah, it's the crazy looks that the defense is throwing you. Like, I think part of the reason the Lions have been so good notoriously against that Minnesota Vikings defense, I think Frank Ragnow is like the secret superstar every single time you're going up against that Vikings defense, and the Lions seem to have the key to stopping them. Now they need someone to replace that, and that is not something that you can just like throw someone with the same size and the same speed and the same RAS score. Like, it goes beyond all the physical tools that Frank Ragnow brought. It is the mental side that is something that is just it's hard to tangibly quantify, but it's where I think the majority of this loss is.
This kind of goes back, Ryan, to very early episodes of the POD cast talking, because I recall us, like, in the first year of it, talking about the center position, to what Jeremy's saying, how cerebral it is. It's very understated, the role that a center plays in calling out defensive formations, in getting guys in protection in the right places, and doing everything they need to get ready to go. Like, that's, as Jeremy said, that You certainly can't replace that in the middle of the offseason, but it could be years before the Lions see a center again like Frank Ragnow.
Yeah, I mean, he truly was a player who put together like a Hall of Fame caliber resume. And especially, I mean, amongst his peers too, right? Like, I mean, Taylor Decker going on Twitter and saying gold jacket, and maybe that's biased because he's been the left tackle the entire time that Frank's been there. But I mean, that's high praise from a guy who's one of the best tackles in football and has, he's had a pretty darn good career himself, and he's seen plenty of guys. I mean, take it back to Travis Swanson. Remember Travis Swanson, and he has a concussion in that 2016 season. I know that, Matthew Stafford's thumb had the problems too, but they were down Travis Swanson. And in the games where the Lions haven't had Frank Ragnow, you've seen the drop-off. You've seen the pressure come up the middle. I mean, you think back to the 2023 season, and you think of that Bears game where I think everybody's kind of belief in this team definitely hit a road bump. I think after that Bears game without Frank, it's like, oh man, like this is what this offense looks like against a listless Bears defense. Like, I hope the Lions don't have to go play outside without Frank Ragnow because Jared Goff can't stay upright. Jared Goff, the offense is kind of at a big disadvantage. So I think taking it back to your earlier question, Chris, about where this kind of ranks 1 to 10, I said last week that it was like to borrow Anthony Fantano's scale, I said like a hard 7, like a light 8. What was kind of how I was feeling. I think I'm kind of still there because at the end of the day, he was the second best offensive lineman on that front. And yeah, he was truly, Chris, he was the guy who epitomized and embodied everything that Dan Campbell has instilled as far as a culture goes. Toughness, accountability, grit, resilience, like all the cliches fit Frank, but they weren't cliches.
Yeah, you mentioned that 2023 season, and I think it was 108. I believe I'm taking this from Nate Tice. There were 182 plays without Frank Ragnow, and the rankings for that great Lions O-line start to dive off a cliff. It suddenly drops down to 5.3 yards per play, 13th in the league, a 36.4% success rate, 29th, and a negative 1.3 EPA per play, 27th. And that's where the Lions look like in 2023 without Frank Ragnow, with Graham Glasgow taking center snaps. So it's not good. I think a lot of Lions fans are going to lean on the hope that Hank Fraley is still the offensive line coach, and that the Lions have had.
How much worse would you guys feel if Hank Fraley wasn't in town?
Oh man, if he took the OC job, if he took the OC job in Seattle, I think the sky would officially be falling.
Maybe at 11. Hard 10, soft. What was that scale again you had, Ryan? What was it?
Hard 7, light 8.
Yeah. Hard 10, light 12, for me, if that was the case. But was this really, to step it back a second, how surprised were you? Because I know, Jeremy, we had talked about this, I believe at the end of that 2023 season when Frank was openly talking about retirement. And I think I said at the time, like, when you start to think about it, the clock's ticking. The clock's ticking, and it's sooner, not later, when retirement does come around and starts to bite you. Like, and it's also why I kind of like throw back any talk about that this was about a contract. The Lions could fix this by throwing more money at it, because if you were back then, this is a ticking time bomb with every NFL player. You're playing through pain 24/7, and some positions a lot more than others. And there's very few positions you play through more pain with than offensive line. And Ragnow had some chronic issues. And I think when you heard that at the end of 2023, my whole thought process was, we'll just see how many years we have him. It's a little surprising to me that it was this deep into the offseason that he let the Lions know, but not terribly surprising either.
This is a hard one for me because there were a lot of like conflicting signs along the way, right? There was the weird quote at the end of the 2023 season where he was talking about like, I have to take a look at how I take care of myself. And then everyone spun that into, oh, he's contemplating retirement. And then once that narrative got spun out of control, Frank Ragnow, like before the 2024 season, was like, hey, that is not what this was about. I am not interested in retiring. He was very clear before that season started that like that wasn't what he was talking about. That wasn't what he was thinking about. And so I think myself and a lot of people were like, okay, we read that one wrong. Let's stop talking about Frank Ragnow retiring. It's not happening. But then like this whole offseason has been weird. And some people tagged me on Twitter after my solo pod after the first OTAs dropped. And it was right after the Burkett story. And I think I said stuff like, there's no reason to worry at this point. But at that point I was talking about contract details. Like I don't think there was any concern about contractual things. But I had mentioned how weird I thought it was that Tate Ratledge was getting so much center work. That it was like, I could understand it in rookie minicamp where there's really not that many people who can play center. So play center, cross-train, sure. But then when you go to OTAs and you have Graham Glasgow and you have Kingsley Iguakin and you have Michael Neese and you're still repping as the first team center, I'm like, I definitely took a mental note of that. It's like, that's weird. Like maybe, I think I even said on the solo pod, like maybe they're planning to replace Frank Ragnow in the long term. I don't think that's what they're doing, but maybe that's what they're doing. Turns out that's what they're doing. And so I would still rate this as like pretty darn surprising, particularly just because of what Frank Ragnow's seemingly adamant that he wasn't contemplating retirement last year. But I guess in the grand scheme of things, it shouldn't come as that much of a surprise given all he's physically been through.
Yeah, I do want to probably note that I think that Frank did that by design. I think by design he could squash those rumors in 2024, so it wasn't something that was going to linger, right?
Yeah.
And like you very adamantly say like it's not about retirement. I'm here. I know I have this chronic turf toe, but remember all the reports about, hey, the training staff has been incredible. They've done everything to make it like manageable, and I can, I don't feel like hell every day kind of thing. So I think that maybe was by design. But to Jeremy, like I think everyone else, you have an entire season of Frank Ragnow playing on top of him being adamant that 2023 was probably just, playing all the way to the NFC Championship game and going heads up against Vita Vea and having a sprained knee and a sprained ankle and every injury imaginable, and you're still playing the following week in the NFC Championship game. Your body's just got to be in the worst shape possible. So those comments made sense at the time, but 2024 was enough distance to put yourself in between like, oh, Frank's contemplating retirement to like, all right, Lions got to run it back. 2025, here we go. I think the draft, Chris, becomes a little bit more like, I know hindsight is 2020, but you move up for Tate Ratledge, you move up in the 5th round to get Miles Frazier. Like we all agreed that the Lions had a need along the interior of the offensive line, but it was extra aggressive. It was extra aggressive to move up in the 2nd round, and that's just kind of been Brad Holmes' MO lately. So it's like, okay, like he's just being a little more aggressive. This is who Brad Holmes is now. But I think you start to connect some of the tea leaves, and I know Eric put together that article that kind of, you read those quotes a little bit differently now.
Yeah.
You read those quotes about the center position and
Ratledge's like versatility before they even played him at center.
It's really tough, though, because this isn't just something you just slot a guy in from a guard over to a center over. And I think we argued and we ourselves said, like, why are we like, now we know why they were trying him at center. But at the time we were saying this guy is already still trying to learn to be a guard in the NFL. And you're throwing the center position on him. But also at the same time, too, it's tough because you look back at that draft. Again, Gray Zabel got put on the beast as the number 1 center in the class because he didn't even play center at North Dakota State. It's because he was taking center snaps at the Senior Bowl. the first pure center off the board, the one guy who was listed, there were only three guys who got drafted in 7 rounds who were listed as center and not guard. And Jared Wilson was the first one. He went in like the second to last pick, I believe, of the 3rd round. He was also almost a day 3 guy. And then Drew Kendall and Jonah Monheim is 5th and 7th round, respectively. Like, the talent, this is what I mean by it's hard to replace what Ragnow can do, because I firmly believe that it's like, if you're already trying to replace your center with a guard, you're already kind of fighting a losing battle because of the amount of skill that position takes. Like, I think the Lions are lucky in that they've got some great options here between Graham Glasgow and, I mean, although granted we haven't really seen that on the field tremendously well with Glasgow playing the center. He plays well at guard, but not center. But we'll see what they do with Ratledge. We'll see what they do with Frazier, because this wasn't a great class to getting that center need, and you still had the guard need. I think it was the right option to getting Tate Ratledge at the end of the day, because even if you didn't know you had a center need, he was probably one of the best guards available. But I guess I am not fully sold yet on that this conversion to center will be painless, regardless of how much they try him out in this first training camp season for him.
I don't know who could possibly think that would be a transition that would happen seamlessly without any hiccups, because Jeremy, Frank Ragnow played center all the time at Arkansas. Where did he play in his rookie season in the NFL?
Yeah, guard. He redshirted his first center. Exactly, yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, that seems like the most logical plan of attack. You have a natural guard in natural center in Graham Glasgow, who has played the center position plenty of times. Not as good as Frank Ragnow, but still at a decent level. Like, he's not terrible at center. He doesn't love it, but he's okay at it.
And not like significant snaps since, like, was it 21 or 22 with Denver?
Right. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So it's not an ideal situation either. Like, it's going to be, no matter who you throw there, it's going to be a downgrade, and probably significantly so. The good news is that you have 3 starting capable interior offensive linemen. You had 4 2 weeks ago. Now you have 3. It's just a matter of how you want to organize it. And I think from the outside looking in, it certainly seems like the most sense is put Christian Mahogany at left guard, put Tate Ratledge at right guard, and put Graham Glasgow at center. But man, if you watch that
nothing's earned.
And if you watch that Dan Campbell press conference, man, I was probably at about like a 5 to 10% that Tate Ratledge was going to be the starting center in week 1. I'm up to like 30 to 40% now, because let me pull some quotes. Campbell on how important it is to have center experience out there. Quote, "Experience is big. It is. But I think it's whether it's there or it's the guy next to you that can help a lot too. But if you're going to need some experience, somewhere in there, and as long as you have that, you're okay." So he's implying if you have Graham Glasgow at guard right next to your rookie center, that's okay too, because you have someone experienced on the interior. Then he starts talking about Eric McCoy as a rookie, taking over for an all-pro center his rookie season. Now, Eric McCoy, center in college, major difference there. But he says by game 3, by game 4, he was cooking. It can happen fast. Development, it can happen fast.
Yeah, I mean, like what? Cam Jurgens took over for Jason Kelsey, but I don't know. I think Cam Jurgens, I don't remember if he played center in college or not. Either way, like, the consistencies. I think what you're pointing out, though, Jeremy, is that, like, and I agree with this, is the Lions at least have options right now. Like, there's still not a spot we've figured out yet, Ryan, with Frazier. They went and got Tristan Colon out there for competition. And, like, it's still a second year for UDFA Kingsley Eguakan, who did play center in college. And we'll see if he maybe takes a step up. But it's someone the Lions retained throughout, the practice squad through all out of last year. So we've got the big names in Glasgow and Ratledge, and I think that's, to Jeremy, that's probably the plan. I think I agree with him that Ratledge is probably in line right now. As if I had to draw a depth chart right now, I would say, yeah, I'm putting him as center 1 for the Lions. But I think we're like, first off, it's the biggest story, training camp, OTAs, hard stop over anything else right now. But it's going to be under a microscope the entire time for not just Lions media, but I think for National League media as well.
Yeah, I think you saw the national media kind of respond accordingly, where it was like, "Oh, this is a massive loss," and it's like, "Yeah, it is. It is a massive loss," because I think when Jeremy just outlined it right there, where it was like, "Oh, instead of Frank Ragnow in the middle, and then you have a competition of the cream will rise to the top between Mahogany and Glasgow and Ratledge, where it's like, okay, you'll have good depth no matter what it is. Now, like, the cream is the cream. You know what I mean? Like, you have, I think, your three starters right there. I don't know what order they're necessarily going to be in, but, like, my question is, where's the depth? Like, the depth has changed. Like, my feelings about the depth have changed because now one of those guys has to start. And you're not really afforded that luxury. So
it basically means you can't miss on Frazier now. Like, you got to hope Frazier at least is going to be someone which is tough, right? It's a day 3 draft pick, and you're asking him to play well enough to be an interior offensive lineman backup.
But it's also like Colby Sorsdahl. Like, you're on notice.
Yeah.
Giovanni Manu, where do you fit in? You're kind of on notice too. Like, it's all hands on deck. Like, I know we're all kind of hyper focused along the interior of the offensive line, but this whole banana tree has to shake out. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's the highlight of training camp, is because it's the most important part of this offense, Jeremy.
Yeah,
like, full
no
stop.
question.
Like, the offensive line is absolutely critical to everything they do.
Right. And now you've lost 2 interior pieces that were starters last year. And yes, we saw Christian Mahogany step in last year, and when Zeitler went down, and he was fine. But again, like we've been saying it all offseason, it's a 3-game sample size. There's a reason why I wasn't writing him in with a pen as a starter quite yet. I certainly am now at this point, because, I mean, what are your other options? Like you said, the depth isn't that great, but at the same time, guys that maybe we had buried before is like unlikely they make the roster. Now they've got a better chance, right? Like, now you're Netane Mutis, your Kingsley Agwakin, Aushika, right? Like, he's a guy that he's probably your interior offensive lineman 4 right now. The guy that comes off the bench and probably fills in every spot other than center, because he's done it before, and they've succeeded in ways, even if he hasn't looked amazing at it.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy who was definitely on the outside looking in after the draft, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And now he's firmly back. He's back on the roster.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess if I'm going to close this up by 2 things, it's like, again, I don't think the contract was ever an issue. I know that was kind of thrown out there, and I'm not going to hate on the reporting of it, but also at the same time, like, again, I've seen enough of NFL guys to know, like, when pain is the factor. It's not, retirement isn't something you just throw out very, very lightly. And I know the Detroit Lions as an organization have a history where retirement is kind of seen as the last tool to get out of a bad situation. But this isn't Megatron. This isn't Barry Sanders. This is very, and I mean, Megatron also had the pain issue ultimately. So I should probably say this isn't a Barry Sanders situation. This isn't like you were fed up with a contract, or, where you're at, or the team, so you're quitting. No, this is 100% about the pain, full stop. This is about still being able to, walk with your kids later on in your life, full stop. That's what this is. But it's hard for me to feel really good about this was a big blow in that it's really hard for me to feel super good about this team's chances now as far as a Super Bowl, because I do think this now puts, when you're at 2 offensive line starters, it is starting to put an upper limit on where you can go this coming year.
Right. Well, right. Because, like,
yeah,
if you're going to use Eric McCoy as an example, he said, well, by game 3, by game 4, like, he was starting to get it. He was starting to cook. Well, let's say that happens this year. Let's say they put Tate Ratledge there, and first 3 games were rough, but by game 4, well, okay, that maybe means you've already lost 2 divisional games.
Yeah,
you've played the Bears and the Packers and the Ravens. Like,
that's the thing. It's not just the offensive line, Jeremy. It's that plus the schedule, plus that you're replacing both your coordinators and several position coaches.
Yeah,
the bricks are starting to add up.
Well, hey, 2 things real quick. One, silver lining Lions are playing an extra preseason game. That's good.
They
get a couple of joint practices, so you're getting live bullets against other, starting NFL caliber defensive lines. So that adds up to good in the good column for Tate Ratledge and his development. It's going to be a crash course, right? Like, I hope that he's ready. I would much prefer him in the middle if he's ready. But that's the thing, is that Dan and the group won't play him there if he's not ready, right? Like, I think they'll lean on Graham being the starting center. And the second thing I want to say real quick, and to quote Day from next Friday, even players mess up. It's okay. Like it was definitely it was a health and a family thing. I don't think that money played any considerable factor in Frank Ragnow's retirement. I think that Frank Ragnow, they just had a son not too long ago. They have like baby number 2 on the way.
Yeah.
Frank's dad passed away suddenly from a heart attack when he was 20 years old. He has a foundation that helps grieving, kids and family members cope with death, and like health and family was a priority to Frank Ragnow.
Absolutely.
I mean, do you remember the quote from Frank where he was talking about after that 2023 divisional round game against the Bucs, and he's talking about how, I signed that contract back in 2021, and this team, they put their faith in me and they put their money on the line for me, and I want to be out there and perform. And I mean, the guy was a football player through and through. Like, you could see the way that all of his teammates just showed an outpouring of support and love for a guy who loved football. Like,
played through a fractured throat,
played through a torn labrum, played through like what has been described like the worst case of turf toe ever known to mankind. Like, I think it probably kills Frank Ragnow that he has to retire.
Yeah,
because his body just it wasn't up for it, which is kind of sad, right? Like I mean, you're seeing a great career cut short because the hits couldn't be taken anymore.
Right. Something out of everybody's control. And it's that struggle that I'm sure he's dealt with for months, if not years, that any Lions fans who are like upset at him, like you need to stop. You need to, like, I'm not just trying to tell you how to
empathy, but just a little bit of empathy, right?
Right. I mean,
right.
There's even some people in our live chat, they're like, he screwed us. He waited too long. First of all, he didn't.
Kind of been debunked by Dan last Thursday, right?
Right. But like, Dan has known for a good amount of time. We don't have an exact timeline on that, but like, if you watched Amon-Ra's press conference, he's like, yeah, I knew at the end of the season that like this could be a possibility. And so the Lions were likely planning for his departure at some point, right? Like if you're a good general manager, you're not waiting until the moment that you have to replace someone to replace someone. You start thinking about it ahead of time. And that's why I do think like that Tate Ratledge pick probably came in mind with when they made it as like, maybe this is our future center, because the moment that Frank Ragnow approaches us and says, hey, I'm not sure if I'm playing next year, the clock is ticking then. You need to start getting your butt in gear. And so I don't think he left the Lions in a lurch. I think he's giving you 4 or 5 years of all pro level play. He's deserved an extra couple months to think about the future of his career. And so I have absolutely no problem with the timing nor the decision that Frank Ragnow made.
And I want to defend those months from Frank Ragnow too, because like, what are you supposed to do if like you still think at the time you can go? You still think at the time you don't want to like immediately say I'm retiring right now. There's a possibility I could play, and you give it a go, and you start to realize you like in May that it can't go. What are you supposed to do? You're just supposed to just tough it out for an entire year. You're just supposed to like act like your body won't betray you for what, 5 months of the most grueling sport on planet Earth, plus 3 months or so of OTAs and training camps and full contact joint practices. You're just supposed to you just can tough that. No, like, it sucks. It genuinely sucks to have put a team in this position, but there's nothing else you really can do. There's nothing else you really can do at the end of the day. It's just
not a decision you want to rush
for everyone. Yeah. But what's not tough is the decision, and this is a decision you can rush, is rush to get your righteous felon craft jerky and meat sticks. It's a fuel for the 4 out of 10 from me. Sorry.
Hard 4, light 5.
No, I don't even want to do the read. You guys are mean. Each 2-ounce bag of jerky has 16 to 20 grams of protein, and each stick has 8 grams. If it's good enough for us, it'll be good enough for you too. See, you've really taken the wind out of my sails, Ryan.
I mean, just like Frank Ragnow retires because his body, has failed him. You know what won't fail your body?
That's what I.
Is that better?
Isn't that what I teased? Isn't that what I teased? Isn't that how I transition? Okay, whatever. A Righteous Felon is based in Westchester, Pennsylvania, and they use locally sourced, all-natural Black Angus beef, superior quality, revolutionary branding, unique flavors that go beyond the stereotypical jerky offering. POD 15 at checkout will get you 15% off your order. So go to righteousfelon.com, use the promo code POD15 at the checkout, 15% off your order. That's righteousfelon.com. And when we come back on the Pride of Detroit PODcast, we'll talk about OTAs, storylines from around the summer, and much more. That's next. Oh my God, I've been holding that in.
Frank Ragnow was pretty tough, but you know what isn't tough?
What's the matter, buddy?
To chew through. Righteous Felon.
That's almost what Chris was said. Hey, relax, Harry. This isn't about me. Plus, I got to get through some alerts.
Oh, wow. Good thing you did it before the storms came rolling in. Holy smokes.
Is it supposed to start storming?
It started coming down pretty hard, probably halfway through first segment over here by me.
Severe thunderstorm watch. I had no idea. Let me get to some alerts and then we'll chat about anything. Krolik, 49 months, says coming up on my 4-year anniversary. Do you mean like actual anniversary or? Because if I'm doing math, you've already passed your 4-year anniversary here. Right? 49? 48
What kind of math are you doing?
I'm not sure.
Are you doing like
not baby math? No. Oh, 46 straight months. Okay. But it's 49 total. Can we get a summer Madden stream sometime? Maybe. We still have a lot of special streams to do.
Yeah.
I know. Well, I still have to get a couple things out myself.
But
that Ruby has gotten terribly picky about his food.
MJ Kimball, 55 months, says 55 yards per game for Teslaw. I think that's a bit optimistic.
Someone did send me. There is quite a bit of.
It's like 900 yards.
There's quite a bit of fantasy sleeper hype around Teslaw as a pick. I mean, granted, it's fantasy, so mileage may vary, but
I would not listen to those people. Just throwing it out there.
I don't know. I'm just saying. Someone sent me a picture from their I think it was their keeper league on. I have to go back and find it now.
I mean,
83% rostered.
Maybe in like super deep, like dynasty leagues where you can draft rookies in the first round. Yeah, maybe those kind of leagues. But man, I would not. I mean, Tesla's like. I mean, what would you set his over under at for like receiving yards this season? Like 350? Is that too optimistic?
I was going to say 250.
That's not on him. He played on a roster with St. Brown, J-Mo, Gibbs, Laporta, Montgomery.
Right. And he's not a starter. He is not in the starting lineup and probably won't be. Tim Patrick still exists.
Quick NFL news, if I may say so.
Okay.
Running back Nick Chubb has signed with the Texans.
Oh, I found a tick on me. Okay.
Congrats to Nick Chubb, who had the most gruesome knee injury that I have seen on Twitter.
You know what? I was I on Twitter back when I think I saw Kevin Ware's injury on Twitter. Oh, that's knee, not leg. I mean, that's leg, not knee, but.
Yeah.
Can I get back to alerts now that you're done announcing news that was announced 24 hours ago?
Oh, it was official. It just became official. So
Who cares? Who cares about Nick Chubb or the Texans?
The Lions don't have a center.
I care about Browns. I care about Brown Schadenfreude.
Isaac Tesla can doodle up one hell of a Lion though.
He can. Good for him.
Yeah.
Ended that streak. Like, talk about ending all these Lion streaks. Who are the? So it was Carry On, right? One year that drew the worst one ever.
Yeah, it was not great.
There was another one, wasn't there?
TJ Hawkinson.
I think Hawkinson did one as well.
But the Laporta one is the one that I have on the shirt.
Oh, so there's 3 in the history? All right, let's pull them up. Screw it. This is the kind of thing we talk about in the break, right? Laporta draws.
I put it in our Slack. There's the shirt.
Oh, that's right. That's a Cookie Monster.
Because they have like a bunch of art supplies at their disposal. Like some of them use glitter.
Yes. Yeah, this year it felt like it was more than they had like a color wheel to explain like what colors you mix to create a new color.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is Laporta's.
Yeah.
Hold on, I probably don't need you guys looking at our Slack conversations. TJ Hawkinson. Did he draw the logo? Rookie. Oh, there's there's an Aiden Hutchinson, which I had forgotten about.
Oh, I didn't know that.
This is Aiden Hutchinson's.
It's different when it's live.
What?
With Xfinity Sports and News
music
TV,
is playing
you
right
can
now?
stream the local channels you love.
Dude,
and news you
Hutchinson's
need.
looks like a.
I think
What
we talked. It
hell?
looks like a sponge monkey from the. We definitely talked about this from the
Reminds me of
Quiznos
like a
ads.
Oh
say.
yeah.
Reminds me, there's like a meme of like a Sonic, like a kid drawing Sonic the Hedgehog, and it kind of reminds me of that.
And let's be clear. You know, Hutchinson grew up in Michigan, right? And so did Teslaw. And so they had the same advantage there.
Yeah, but Aiden Hutchinson was a Patriots.
He no, he was also a Texans fan, right? Didn't he tell some Houston radio station he was a Texans fan growing up?
Oh gosh, he must be ecstatic right now over this Nick Chubb news.
All right, so is there another one?
I don't think there's a Hawkinson. I swore there was a Hawkinson one.
Let's look at the Carry On one.
Hawkinson.
Where's the Carry On Johnson one? Maybe. Oh, Gibbs did one too. Gibbs is okay. We'll show Tesla's in a second. So this is this is Gibbs, which is okay. I mean, that's I'll allow it.
It's very cutesy.
It is very
like Lady and the Tramp.
I was gonna say it almost looks like a toy dog of some kind.
This is this is Sam Laporta's. Oh, we already looked at Sam Laporta's. This is the one on your shirt.
The eyes are too much. Like Chris said, it's very Cookie Monster face.
There's a Jameson Williams one too.
Yeah,
I don't remember this.
I thought that was the one you brought. I mean, I'm watching this on delay on your stream, obviously, but
Do we? Okay, that was JMO's.
yeah, the JMO's one was the one that looked like a poodle. What was that? Wait, what?
Why is he got a shell like a turtle?
It looks like he's wearing an astronaut helmet too. Like what's that circle around the?
I'm going to imagine that's the mane, and I'm not sure what the black thing is.
Okay, let's see if this is the Carry On Johnson one. Hold on. Add. No one took a screenshot, I guess. That's right. He looks like a key.
Oh yeah, I had
Oh
this
my
one as
God.
my header image for a while.
That's Noby Boy.
Oh man. And then
Show
Tesla
the Tesla one.
puts
It's not
these
bad.
guys to shame. Let me just All right, is that all of them? Okay, I think that's all of them. So let me pull up just laws real quick. Slaw nailed it. I mean, it's not perfect, but that's pretty darn good.
That's like infinitely better than what we've seen so far.
That's pretty good. Jackson Dart had the worst one. Because instead of NY for the Giants logo, he put NG.
Oh, no.
New Giants.
And he was bragging beforehand, before they started painting, that he was like a 10 out of 10. It was like artist skill.
Yeah, well. Deal fit right in with New York, where there are high expectations and low performances.
That's right.
They're going to say a city full of a bunch of phonies.
I had to listen to... What was the take I kept having to be subjected to over the weekend? Someone's like... Okay, now I remember it, and I'm not going to say who it is, but... someone around my building has been trying to say the Colts are his long shot sleeper pick for the Super Bowl.
Sure.
Basically purely off Jaden Daniels, which I don't understand that one, but sure, Have the hot take after.
Anthony Richardson? Or do you mean the Commanders?
Anthony Richardson. No, I mean Anthony Richardson sounds like he is dunzo.
Yeah, but you said Colts. Did you mean Commanders?
No, I meant Colts. I said Jaden Daniels. What I meant to say was Daniel Jones.
Vastly different players.
Yes, I apologize.
What?
Yeah, he's banged. So I believe the quote was Daniel Jones and, quote, 4 very good wide receivers, which I really want to find this person and ask him to name me those 4 wide receivers he's thinking of, because they don't exist on the Colts.
I thought you were going to say because they're going to win it for Jim Irsay.
I'm sure there's been some people who have been throwing that line out there as well, yes.
I didn't know that he had 3 daughters. His 3 daughters are taking over the team, ownership of the team, which is kind of interesting.
I will make jokes about him all day, but like every report of Jim Irsay is like legitimately like a cool dude to his players and like took care of people in the organization and stuff. So like, yeah.
But like if somebody thinks that Daniel Jones is going to all of a sudden get better by getting away from Brian Daboll,
I think that's going completely the wrong way. Yes. Also, too, like we actually talk about the like I had a real do you love doing he's still in the league as much as I do, Ryan? Just getting completely sunlocked when you see a name that it's like, wow, he's still in the league. Because I've got a good one for you.
You have a good one? Go ahead.
Buried on the depth chart at wide receiver for the Indianapolis Colts, Laquan Treadwell.
That's a name I haven't heard in a while. That's a name I haven't heard. I can't imagine he would make their NFL roster.
My favorite guy in that game, and it's the only one that I really like with that game, and I just always do. I do it every single year, and I'll do it again this upcoming year. Is Amir Abdullah. It's just I love
Abdullah is the king of he's still in the league.
He's still in the league, and he's kind of thriving. Like he's a good special teams player.
He every now and then I see an Amir Abdullah, like we for Red Zone Radio we play highlights coming back, and if I see Amir Abdullah touchdown, that I'm pulling that right in. I'm pulling that right in right away.
Oh,
he
is currently unsigned though.
Aw, I thought he would still be with the Raiders.
It does feel like Amir Abdullah shouldn't have had an NFL career past like 2017.
Right. Because there's just this extensive graveyard of Lions running backs from the 2000s to 2022, basically, where like no one survived more than 3 years.
Yeah, because after I think wasn't that like a year or two after Amir Abdullah was Kerryon. It was always the second round drafting Amir Abdullah and Kerryon Johnson.
Kevin Smith,
sure
Kevin Jones, Javid Best, like all these guys were drafted. I mean, you want to know my origin story of stop drafting running backs high? This is it. Like this is it didn't come out of nowhere. It isn't just the math; it's also trauma.
Funny thing is, you'd watch some of those early plays from like Kerryon Johnson and Amir Abdullah, and like
They were good.
All that talent they were great
Yes.
guys. All that talent was there.
Yes.
I would have loved to see like I'd love to take last year's offensive line and like take it back in time to let Amir Abdullah and Kerryon Johnson run behind those guys and see what they would look like.
Yeah.
Remember Mikel LaShore? It's another second-round running back lost to forever.
Nicholas
Oh,
has it
boy.
at the same time as you did in chat.
I think my guy for that right now isn't really. He's not a. I can't believe he's in the league still guy. He's a. I can't believe that people think he's a difference maker in the league guy.
Oh man.
Sad, but it's Keenan Allen, who like still isn't on an NFL roster. And
He's
as
still
soon
going to
as
torch the
season-
Lions, though.
He
Wherever
he probably will, and it might happen week 16 because I've seen so many people say, "Oh man, like just throw Keenan Allen in that Pittsburgh wide
Stop it.
receiver room,"
Oh my god.
and like we're talking, like there was a reporter from Pittsburgh, like a beat guy who like reported, and not reported, but he's speculating online, right? And he's like, "Yeah, like Keenan Allen, and this team could win the AFC North." I'm like,
Speaking of, he's still
what?
Speaking of, he's still in the league. Like I sent this. My friend and I were laughing about this. The Bleacher Report gridiron graphic that's just titled "Weapons" with Aaron Rodgers and the starting skill position. I mean, in the skill positions in Pittsburgh, and it's like Caleb Johnson, rookie, but then it goes Calvin Austin, DK Metcalf, Pat Freiermuth, and Robert Woods.
Bobby Trees.
Bobby Trees.
Yeah, still in the league, but also like
Well, he might be I can't believe he's still in the league guy now. And like he's being propped up as a weapon.
yeah, all alongside two other wide receivers who probably couldn't make an NFL roster elsewhere too. Although DK Metcalf, they did get a second for him.
It's the Arrested Development meme, Jeremy.
Yeah.
It is. And it's also like this is just one example of why the offseason is terrible. And the other being, if we can point to the other news of the week already.
Leading to it with DK, but yeah.
Yeah, with Jair Alexander getting released. Like, how many articles between March or February and now were written about, hey, this team needs to trade for Jair Alexander. Let's send them a 4th-round pick. Let's send them a 3rd-round pick. Let's swap him for DK Metcalf, according to certain Packers writers.
Packers writers, we could totally get DK Metcalf for Jair Alexander.
And it's just like
9th-ranked cornerback in the NFL.
Pete Bukowski.
I mean, it's just like it's so exhaustive, and I mean, we experienced it, I think, in overload this year, more so than any other year, where it's just like, you got to sign this edge, you got to trade for this edge, you got to go for this edge. Like, none of those guys ended up going out of their original team. No one ended up shelling out $1 bajillion for any of these guys, and it's just like, this is why, like, and I understand why publications, including ours, sometimes write about that, right? Like, there's nothing else to write about in a lot of times, but it's just whenever any single name gets put on a trade block, gets released or anything like that, just like the wave of like, should our team sign it, is just, I hate it.
Try to beat the algorithm.
It's so annoying. It's just like, hey, everyone is searching Jair Alexander today. You better write a Jair Alexander story if you're writing for any team.
Trey Hendrickson talked about how he doesn't like his contract in Cincinnati and won't play.
It's not going to happen, Lions fans.
It's frustrating. And
You can stop thinking about it.
I'm not even like mad at anyone in particular. I'm just mad at how things have
The
ended
game
up.
that has to be played. It's unfortunately, but like the game that has to be played on the algorithm, and it's just like the algorithm sucks, but nobody is like, we're all beholden to this wretched, awful thing because nobody can build something better.
Right.
And it's either you play the game or we all lose our jobs.
those trades that people were mocking up, and I mean, did anybody have Geno Smith getting traded to the Raiders? You know what I mean? Like, I don't even think people in the NFL know what things are worth, right? Like draft picks, they don't know what players are worth.
You know what?
I mean, remember the initial report was that the Raiders called, or excuse me, the Seahawks were like, "Oh yeah, we'll give you Geno Smith for Max Crosby." It's like, no. Try a day 2 pick.
Hey, never hurts to ask.
That's why it never hurts to ask, right? Jameson Williams for Myles Garrett. It never hurts to ask. Who is the is it what's his name? The guy who got fired from the Jets. The Tannenbaum? Is that his
God, yeah, the Tannenbaum trade last year.
Trade Jahmyr Gibbs and draft picks for Myles Garrett. You have David Montgomery. Like, nobody knows what anything's worth in the NFL.
Yeah. Anyways, let me get to the alerts since I only got through 2.
Okay, well, I'm going to go try to chase off Ruby again here because
Okay.
why you do that? Because this guy is...
All right. J. Rago, thank you for the 10 months subscribed on Twitch. Texas Wolverine, 36 months subscribed. That's 3 years. How Now Brown Cow, 26 months, says Nelson Bangdella, Sergio Can't See Me, Vladimir Buffin, The Human Weather's Melting in Your Mouth, Mr. Bex on Deckington, Ricky Ticky Squad B, Greg Popovich.
Was that English?
I don't know. I think How Now Brown Cow does this every time. Throws what I believe to be lyrics that I butcher with my cadence. 100 bits from Nick the Greek says, Frank is coming back in week 14 for the playoff run, but only if Jeremy stays in Metro Detroit area continuously until then. I'm going to be in Salt Lake City this weekend. Uncle T-Rap, 27 months, says, enjoying my moldy bread until this beautiful 20-0 season starts. Okay. I can take that. Nick the Greek, another 100 bits, says Frank tried to show up spontaneously to Jeremy's house to have a heart-to-heart about whether to retire when no one was home. One more bit. Frank took that as a sign. Sure. I'll take it. He searched through my jerseys and didn't find his name, and he decided to retire. So maybe the jersey curse is not getting jerseys anymore.
Oh.
Yeah. RGA 31 months subscribed to the channel, says Tate Ratledge will be Peyton Manning of centers. Does that mean really bad at the start of his career, but then turns out to be great?
Oh, hello.
Didn't Peyton have like 2 really bad seasons, and now everyone who has a rookie quarter or like a young quarterback that sucks for the first 2 years are like, well, Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning was bad.
Peyton Manning.
That's how it works. Is you always point to the one example, like, yeah, if you draft a quarterback in the 6th round, it's going to be Tom Brady. That's how it works.
Easy as pie.
Easy as pie.
I swear to fucking God.
Another 100 bits from Nick the Greek says, not going to lie, I was shocked about the retirement. Seemed like he had moved past most serious health stuff. Was poised for another 3-year extension. Can't believe $40 million was, quote, enough money for this guy. Must be a communist. Wasn't enough. Well, yeah, that is the other thing, too, about the Ragnow retirement, is that, like, at the end of this season, he was like, that's the best I've ever felt at the end of the season. Like, I'm
sure it feels great coming down from painkillers. I do.
You know what we could probably, I mean, pure speculation, right? But for a guy who had been in communication with his employer to say, hey, I want to play, but I don't know if my body can take it. Take that for what it's worth. Use that to prepare. And the fact that he wasn't at OTAs and he wasn't ready, it's purely conjecture, but I would say, hey, maybe the guy tried to ramp it up and he just couldn't ramp it up.
Well,
or he had some kind of setback, right? And it was like, if we're having a setback in May, what does my life look like for the next 3 months?
Right. And plus, I think something that doesn't even have to be speculation at this point is, you know, we heard him talk about how the toe is just, that's how he's going to have to live, right? Like that is something that's inoperable. Mm-hmm. And so that almost undoubtedly requires a ton of prehab, right?
Rehab,
a ton
yep.
of preparing, and maybe and it sounds like it would not be surprising at all if he's just like, I don't have to go through all that anymore. Like I just don't. That's so much work. It's miserable. It's unthankful work, and you never even know if by the time you get to the end of it, it's going to help. Like, or something else happens, right? Like you put in all of that work, and then you break your finger on the first day of training camp, right? Like,
yes, or maybe it's, hey, we had the toe in a great place, and I'm doing the same thing I did last year, but it doesn't feel as good. Like, is it going to get better from here? Because if it isn't, I don't want to do another year of this. And here's the other thing that I can't buy with all the Frank Ragnow stuff is the Lions would have paid him whatever he wanted to play football, because we're talking about how this is like a 7, a 8, a 9 in terms of like, oh boy, like Chris said something along the lines of, this makes me wonder if they're Super Bowl contenders, right? And I'm not saying that that's hyperbole or anything. I'm saying that like that's how big of a deal this is. If this was a money issue and Frank could be coerced into playing football for more money, I think the Lions would have paid him what he wanted to pay him so that they could put Tate Ratledge on the Frank Ragnow development train, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Tate Ratledge, play guard next to Frank Ragnow. Frank Ragnow's not playing now. Now we need to have Tate Ratledge get all these snaps at center. Like, I don't think plan A for Detroit, when Frank told him what was going on with his body, was, okay, like, we'll just go into this without a plan at center, both like in the here and now and in the future. No,
you also have to wonder, like, in a theoretical world in which Frank also wanted a new contract, like he was debating retirement, but also like, hey, if I'm going to play, you need to pay me more. Like, let's say that is what's happening. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I'm not saying, but like, how much more behind the 8 ball could you put yourself in negotiations by saying like, hey, I don't know if I'm going to play football anymore this year, but also pay me more. Like, you can't give someone who's like, I'm not sure, I'm debating retirement. You can't be like, okay, well, here's another 4-year extension. Right?
I mean, nothing long term like that by any means, right? But like, I also think it was the ideas that at least I were hearing that were floating around were like, oh, there aren't enough guarantees this year.
Right.
Like, there's not enough guaranteed money. It's like, okay, the Lions could have paid him guaranteed money for a year or guaranteed money year for 2 years, right? But like,
I'm sure they wouldn't have mind just be like, oh, okay, we snapped our fingers. Your entire salary is now guaranteed this year. Is that what you wanted? Because we'll give it to you in a second.
Done.
I don't know. I think if there was an option to retain him, the Lions would have done it already. Yeah, this simple as that. Yeah. Are we still doing alerts? Or?
We sure are. We're not even close.
Oh, jeez. Because I had a question for Jeremy, but yeah.
Justin Sane, 10 months subscribed to the channel. 10 months in a row, 38 total. Boof Gertz, 19 months subscribed to the channel. 80 Jerome, 7 months. Slyest Rye, 40 months, says, hey! Colorado Lions, 7 months, says 7 months for 7 months left until Lions playoff run. Math checks out. Matt Sick, 31 months subscribed to the channel. Damian Smith, £5 super chat on YouTube, says, I know that no one, including Dan Campbell, cares about the Hall of Fame game, but has anyone checked with what the Chargers are doing with their OTAs? I have not. I know they didn't cancel mandatory minicamp like the Lions did. The Lions are the only team that didn't do mandatory minicamp, but I don't know. I don't think they're treating their spring that much differently than normal teams. So they're getting a little extra work, but I don't know if that's necessarily good or a bad thing. Nicholas JP, 13 months, says, am I the only one that still wants Brandon Scherf maybe to secure a guard position, and then I'll feel more comfortable about the interior? It's interesting. I hadn't really thought about it since after the draft about adding more interior offensive linemen. This obviously does change things a little bit. Scherf. Who's the other guy from the Texans that a lot of people were talking about? That like he was on Instagram and he like responded to Roy Lopez and everyone thought that meant he was about to sign.
Oh, I'm not sure.
Chad, I'll say his name in a second. Like, he's still out there, I think, too. Kulo 31 months says, I am Kirby Joseph's number
Shaq
with you guys.
Mason?
Hey, no, that's not who I was thinking of.
No.
Mm-mm.
Did he play for the Texans last year?
I think so. He had like a serious injury. There you go. Will Hernandez.
Oh yeah, that's right. But aren't they like business partners?
Yeah. They have some like clothing design thing. But I think he's coming off a major injury, so. But we know the Lions like taking chances on not Will Hernandez.
Oh my God.
Jesus Christ.
Alien Vivitor, 51 months, 48 in a row, says Frank. Retiring isn't great, but it helps with the cap crunch next year. The smallest of silver linings. You're not wrong. It is a silver lining. And it kind of represents what this team is going to have to do anyways, right? Is eventually you're going to have to replace your really good older players with hopefully really good young players.
I mean, we think the offensive line is going to look different this year. How much different is it going to look next year?
Oh boy.
And none.
Decker's
None.
clock is ticking at some point too.
Nope.
Graham?
Nope.
Decker
fine.
and Graham?
He's fine. Everyone's fine.
Giovanni Manu!
Can I talk about something that I thought was very fine, and I'm sure I can actually get Jeremy to talk about it with me,
Sure.
which is a rarity for us, apparently.
Michigan
'Cause I
Panthers?
saw you. No, I want to ask: is there anything you can imagine yourself doing athletically for 5.5 hours?
No. Absolutely not. 60 minutes of tennis is enough for me. 5 hours of tennis is
5.5
insanity.
We're talking the French Open, Ryan. That Alcaraz Skinner match was, Jesus Christ.
I had a vested interest in the French Open from the very beginning.
How much?
I was given a $5 free bet from ESPN Bet.
Wow, ESPN Bet. Wow, I didn't realize they're still running that crap.
Ryan diversifies his investments.
And you shop around, just like Golden Tate said. By the way, Golden Tate, first off, great advice from Golden Tate to shop around for books. And then in true Golden Tate fashion, then fucks up the end by saying, yeah, I use VPNs. Oh, wait, I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, I use VPNs for offshore gambling sites. Yeah,
to get around state laws. Yeah.
That's something you should say out loud on camera. But I put my $5 free bet on Musetti. And, like, he had a really good tournament until he had to retire against Alcaraz. But I think he won the first set against Alcaraz.
I think that's right. I watched a lot of Roland Garros.
I've been watching a lot because I don't have students anymore. So I was in Sedona
last week, and West Coast time is awesome for sports, first of all.
Yes.
And particularly with the French Open, when like everything is being played from like 6 a.m. to noon, basically. And I'm an early riser, particularly when I'm still adjusting to Pacific time. So like I'm up at 6 a.m. and there's already tennis being played, and I'm like, this is perfect. I was with my nieces who are 10 and 12. They're not getting up for a couple hours, so like I can watch the sunrise over the mountains to my right and just watch some tennis with a cup of coffee. And it was an amazing start to almost every day out there in Sedona.
And then you got all the way on towards brunch because it was still going.
Well, that was the day that I got back, and so I was just like I was couch ridden because I was very sleep deprived, and just watching that entire match, which I don't think I've ever seen anyone fight off 3 straight championship points like that.
Yeah,
I think it was in the 4th set.
Fantastic.
It may have been in the 3rd set, because if you don't know, there were some tennis haters in my mentions the other day. So Sinner, who is number 2, right? Or is he 1 now?
He was 1 in the tournament.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was up
By
2
the way,
sets.
his dad apparently couldn't make the set because he was working or something too.
That sucks. Yeah, so it's a 5-set match. Sinner goes up 2-0, wins the first 2. And then I think it was the 4th set. Then maybe it was the 3rd set where it's 5-4 on Alcaraz's serve, and he goes down love 40. And so all Sinner has to do is win one of the next 3 points on Alcaraz's serve, and it's over. He was actually already up a break, so I think it might have been 5-3 at that point.
So it was triple match point?
It was triple match point in the 4th set, and then he lost all those. He immediately got broken because he was serving for the match still. and he lost. He got broken. It went to a tiebreaker, and they showed a graphic right before Alcaraz won, and it said like an hour and 50 minutes since Sinner's last championship point. The match went on an extra 2 hours after it could have ended in one of 3 points.
It was really good tennis.
I am glad I got to see it. It is highlighting a problem I am having in that my Sundays are now 12 hours on top of all the extra shifts I've picked up, plus, us doing the podcast and everything, and just a general ennui that comes outside of football season. And I am realizing, and also my feed of like sports news has basically become cleaved because half the people I used to follow have gone to Blue Sky. And those people I now follow on Blue Sky aren't talking about sports. They are talking about bigger things happening in our world. In that it's created a kind of double blind for me where it's like I am almost divorced from sports and sports coverage and sports news when I am not working now. So I'm glad I'm saying I'm glad I work on the weekend mornings for that reason and that I got to see this. But because conversely, I have not. I keep having to remind myself to watch the NBA Finals for work.
Not much reason to watch last night.
Yeah. Well, I actually have a segment now on the weekends on one of our shows where I do over-under picks. But they're silly and very stupid stuff. And I believe the one we just put out this week was over-under clutch shots for Tyrese Halliburton at 1.5 through the next 3 games. No chance for any of that shit last night.
Yeah.
I believe our imaging for it says me doing over under a half a choke sign. So that's kind of the segment it is. It's not meant to be serious gambling. Although we are doing NFL picks, but it's I want to make fun of over-unders. But yeah, anyway, sorry, go on, Jeremy.
I was just going to say, like, once the NBA and NHL finals are over, I think we're going to cancel YouTube TV or at least pause it for a while because there's nothing. I don't have Bally Sports, and I don't plan on getting Bally Sports, so...
FanDuel Sports?
Is that what it is now?
Wow.
Yeah.
It is. Oh, that's right. I forgot. I'm one iteration of 4 behind.
Maybe on Glorp.
So, but I watched a lot of French Open, so I want to bring something else up. Did you see obviously, like, the biggest What? How much did you watch?
I didn't see this, but I heard about this, so...
The NBA thing?
Oh, wait, no. Okay, so I did see this. There was my mom said, like, a couple days before someone hit a ball boy.
I don't know.
It's in our Slack. Okay. But okay, I'll show you this, and then there's something I want to say about this too. Beyond. But
this was part of like the best story about the French Open. Like,
yes.
Especially on the women's side of the bracket was it Boisson? Is that how you said her name?
Boisson, yeah, Boisson. I don't know.
Boisson.
That's how I say it. French
she was
unranked.
Like
who
made it something in the world.
Made it to the semis, I think.
No, made it to the quarterfinals.
The quarters.
Yeah.
I thought it was semis. But here she is, which is the person down below, playing, I believe, 18-year-old Russian Miria Andreeva,
yeah.
Andreeva. And Andreeva was going through it at this point in the match.
I mean, like that. I mean, that's just such an unforced error.
Yeah.
Like when I saw that, I had never seen anything like that in tennis before.
I was watching live and I said, "Oh my god!"
Because it wasn't like she hit it up. It was like forehand smash.
Yeah,
like,
she could have taken someone out with that. And yeah, the ball boy, poor ball boy.
It's fascinating to me. This is the only sport on earth I can think of where we've got 3 different surfaces you're supposed to play on. Like football, you've got 2 different surfaces, but like you've got clay, grass, and whatever the fuck that is. What's the standard one called? The one they use for the U.S. Open and like most tennis courts. Like what is that?
I just call it court. I don't know.
Turf. Okay, no, it's not turf.
It's
court.
just court. Just
surface.
But that girl, that's in that match. She's very much like an up and comer, and I actually saw her play at the Miami Open, which was the first and only official tennis match I've ever been, and she was playing doubles, and
Voice
I'd
home?
never no
Andriva.
Andriva,
Okay.
and like you could just tell, like it was one of those moments where I'm like, oh, this girl is way better than anyone I've seen. In this doubles tournament. And yeah, they smoked the team that they were playing, and it was like, even I think I even said it to my mom when we were watching, like, there's a chance in like 5 years we're gonna be able to say like we saw her play in like some mini tournament as a doubles finalist and be like, holy crap, we didn't know how cool that was.
I can't believe I saw this opening artist for this band.
Right. Yes. We're gonna be. We saw Radiohead in the back of a dive bar.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. But Sabalenka and Goff was really good too. I know we get off tennis talk after this, but like I thought that
That was good.
I don't know. I saw Goff have her own meltdown at Wimbledon last year, where it was like, and then seeing Andrew like, and they. It's funny how they pointed out during the broadcast, but they're like, man, these coaches sure take a tongue lashing from like these players, and it's like, to say the least, like they miss a forehand, they turn around, they're just like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah,
what do you want me to do? And
dude, Djokovic does that too.
I don't know, you swing. Like you're out there doing it.
I do appreciate that Goff decided to look inside the jug. That's always one of those things. It's like, yeah, I would probably want to do that too. You know what you found in there, Ryan?
Yeah.
Cerveza Cristal.
Oh, perfect. What a smash cut.
I didn't see the end of that match, so I was a little surprised to see that Goff had won, because I she lost the first set, right?
Yeah.
But like,
it was a tiebreak set though. It did end up going to 7-6, but
anyways, it makes like, I love tennis. I wish I watch it more. I want to go more. Like, the closest they really come is the Cincinnati Open, and that's like it's like right in the middle of preseason, so I don't think there's really any chance I'll ever be able to go to it.
That's
When we talk about Nicholas saying, can we talk about Oakmont and the U.S. Open? I will probably talk about that next week when we get together, because I'm kind of the golf guy around here. But yeah, look historically through the stroke counts for Oakmont. I don't know. I know last time they were there, like, it was a miracle anyone finished under par for the tournament. I think even Tiger Woods, last time he was there in like 07, was like, what, plus 5 or plus 6. It's
man, but
it's a tough course.
Scotty Scheffler, though,
I know
that he has the biggest. He's the biggest favorite in 16 years.
Well, I think I actually did. This was I think I even, in that over-under segment, I did like put him as, like, I asked the guys, like, I think I did total stroke count instead of like over-under like versus par, but I think it translated to, like, I think I set him at like 2.5 under par over-under, which still feels incredibly tough, considering, again, Dustin Johnson, I think last time he went under par, had to like shoot lights out for that tournament.
Yeah,
but
I
mean, I could still see it.
I'm amazed, like, the fact
Scheffler's
that he's a, like, plus 275 odds. So the shortest odds heading into U.S. Open since Tiger Woods was a plus 175 favorite in 2009.
Really, I know he kind of like faded away at the Masters, but like, dude, he dominated the PGA Championship. He just absolutely crushed it. Like, it wasn't even close.
He's good. He's good.
Yeah. I did see at the RBC Open this weekend too, like, they had like this struggle off between I forget the name of the two guys, but they basically had to play so many playoff holes, Ryan, that they had to replace one of the holes on a green because they had played it too many times. So they were like, all right, to try to make this more difficult, we're going to move the hole on 18.
Can they do that? Is that allowed?
Yeah. I don't know if it's allowed.
The whole
but
location?
They changed the whole location, I think, on the third playoff hole.
I feel like Tim Robinson. I don't know if you're allowed to do that. Segment 2, huh?
I'm ready.
Yeah?
I'm ready. This is the kind of summer we have. Like, the Tigers are just so good. There's no reason to talk about them right now. It's like they're doing fine. Doing fine.
Yeah. Regular season baseball is boring. I agree.
I don't know if I'd call it boring. But
I'm kidding.
I wanna ask Jeremy, what is a bigger waste of time? College basketball regular season or baseball regular season?
College basketball, not even close.
how do you guys feel about, and I know this is tough, but I am starting to see it be more than just my breed of Texas friends. How do you guys feel at all about college baseball? Because this is the time of year it's on ESPN nonstop.
I mean, you know my answer.
No, I'm a little tilted because like USC almost made the Super Regionals, and I do know about the Jello Shot Challenge at Rocco's in Omaha, and I would like to do that one day.
I don't know what that is.
Long story short, at a bar in Omaha, they have a $5 Jello shot, and you buy and do Jello shots for your and declare them for your respective college. And the one that went viral was, I think, 2 years ago when LSU won it all. I think Wake Forest put up like 7,000 Jello shots, Ryan. I think TCU put up like 7,100. And then there's LSU with 68,800 Jello shots.
Sounds like Jeremy at a Schlick Christmas party. Except replace Jello shots with buzz balls.
Not only does college baseball exist, it's
Big
very fun to
LaMelo
watch.
fan.
I will give it that. Like, it is, if you like baseball enough. I think the problem is I'm also talking with a mostly Midwest crowd, and this is college baseball is absolutely dominated by like West Coast teams and like Texas teams and Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I couldn't. It's cool. I'm glad they're having a great time, but like, I'm more interested in watching the French Open than watching college baseball.
Yeah, there weren't
even
a lot of
though
people on
they
my
could get, like,
timeline watching
drafted.
the French Open because of the Tigers Cubs series, but I don't know anybody locally that's watching
I think
college
the interesting
baseball.
thing is just that like college baseball, like as soon as these guys are done, the draft happens for baseball itself.
Well, that's the thing too. Is like,
Yeah.
how can you get excited about these college baseball players when they're going to be in the minors for another 5 years?
Yeah.
Like, it's not like, oh, let's watch college football because those guys are going to be in the NFL next year. It's, oh, let's watch these baseball players because they got a metal bat. That's weird.
I don't think they have metal bats anymore.
Oh, they don't?
I think they finally.
I think they do.
Okay, I haven't had the sound on, so I haven't heard the ping, but I do know there was a push to get rid of the metal bats. You know what? Okay, sorry. I know we'd get to segment 2, but I do have a real quick thing, and this is Lions. No, this is Lions and NFL related. How much are you worried, speaking of the draft, about what this whole house settlement means for college athletics?
I don't know what this is. I don't know what you're talking about.
I saw the headline, but I have not
yeah.
read into it because it feels like something that I'll understand at a later date. What is it?
Yeah, it's complicated, but it's basically this ruling from a judge about it's kind of a quasi agreement about trying to put some sort of structure to NIL. And long story short, it basically outlines ideas for a salary, like a capped salary allotment to schools to pay players directly for teams, and it specifies them by sports too. The problem is that a lot of these schools are like, even though this is kind of what they got, and it kind of rolls open the idea of a college athletics czar, it's stumbling to get people to sign on for it, and I don't think anyone's fully happy with it yet. But it was kind of touted over the weekend as like first crack of light towards
Structure.
trying to tame the Wild West that NIL has introduced to college athletics,
So
and more professionalizing college football.
So I'm reading this ESPN article. It says starting July 1st, each school will be allowed, but not required, to spend roughly $20.5 million in new payments to their athletes. That figure comes from a negotiated formula that caps athlete payments at 22% of the average annual revenue that FBS level schools get from ticket sales, broadcast rights, and few other items. The cap will grow on a regular basis during the 10-year lifespan of the settlement. Blah, 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 blah. Could expect it will grow more than $30 million per year by the time the deal expires. So we're at 20.5 right now, and he thinks that it'll go up by $30 million annually for the next 10 years.
30 million total, cumulative. I don't know.
I'm genuinely curious what happens when the agreement expires, too, because it does not seem like there's a lot of parties happy with it either.
It says, wrote that he expects it will grow to more than $30 million per year by the time the deal expires. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a lot more, I guess, but whatever.
I can't even begin to pretend to know how this is going to affect the draft, NFL, because I don't even know how it's going to affect college football at this point.
We are seeing guys staying later in college for NIL.
Yes.
But not really. It's not happening to Cooper Flagg. You know how much money Cooper Flagg was supposed to make last year?
The top guys are still coming out, but it's that second level of guys where we're starting to get more guys coming out at like 25.
I know it's a different sport, and yeah, with football, you can just be there a little bit longer. Like if you're in college basketball for 4 years, it's like I don't know.
This isn't going to affect like the day one or even round two guys, but it could start affecting like third round and onward for the NFL draft. I'm not trying to specifically bring up Carson Beck, but he seems emblematic of it.
But I don't think this is necessarily any decentivization in opposite of I think players are still gonna stay longer than they did before, right?
Yeah.
I don't
know. I wonder about the structure, what it means. Like, do schools now want to hang on to guys as they're getting older rather than and will this kind of buck up against hey, we want to bring in a recruiting guy, or is it just going to be more prioritizing of guys in the transfer portal?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Does it end up just keeping more guys that look to project as career-long special teams players in the NFL? Does it keep them in college longer? I don't know. But like you said, I don't know. Whatever.
I don't know. I don't know the specifics of it. I think it's kind of impossible to project down the road anyways. All right.
But do you know...
Chat's getting antsy. We're going back to the show.
Yeah, we're back.
Let's do it. Were you just going to transition us back, Ryan? Sorry for stepping on that.
Welcome back to the Pride of Detroit PODcast. Let's talk a little bit about OTAs. They're fully in the books now, correct? Yes. Okay.
Yep. And no mandatory minicamp, so that means the players are off until training camp.
Which is going to be sooner than you think, because Hall of Fame game is July 31st. We're going to have preseason football in July. Not August, July. So it's coming like a freight train coming your way, as Dan Campbell would say. I think I got the Metallica lyrics right. Don't. I don't care. Don't try to correct me on this. Let's talk a little bit about what we've learned from OTAs, Jeremy. I know you filed your reports on a couple solo shows we had before you took off for Arizona. So I believe where we're standing right now is the defense certainly looks like they are a step ahead right now, but I think that should be expected. It seems like they'll probably have a lot more continuity versus the new schemes coming in for the offense right now. And now the offense has to deal with, figuring out the offensive line on top of everything now as well.
Yeah, I mean, so I obviously didn't get to see last Thursday's OTA session, really the second one. It's going to take some getting used to this offseason, because we usually get 3 OTA weeks, 3 days of mandatory minicamp, all with media availability. So at least 6, sometimes even 7 days of practice that we get to watch. We got 2 this year. It's different. And so it's very hard to jump to any sort of conclusions, but certainly it was that way the practice that I saw. From what I understand, Thursday's practice was a little bit more of a walkthrough. They did indoors. They usually take it a little slower. So I wouldn't pull anything from Thursday's practice. I wasn't there, so there's nothing I could pull. But Dan Campbell literally said, quote, probably we're more up to speed defensively. It's just about everybody getting on the same page with how Shep wants to do things. We're cooking pretty good right now. So seems pretty excited about where the defense is at. And like you said, yeah, there's a lot of continuity on that side. There's also a lot of injuries on the defensive line, but at this point in the offseason, that doesn't really matter because line play, you can't have any sort of live contact. So how are you supposed to judge line play? But it sounds like they like, I mean, if you want to really strip that quote down, it probably just means like, hey, our secondary is playing pretty good right now, because it also means, I mean, you also didn't have Jack Campbell for most of OTAs. You didn't have Alex Anzalone for all of OTAs. But you had DJ Reed, you had Ennis Rakestraw, you had Kirby Joseph, but you also didn't have Terry on. You also didn't have Brian Branch for at least part of it. So any sort of like major takeaways we're not going to have, not only because we only had 2 practices, but because like 20 guys were out. And so this whole segment, I think it should be called like, let's take this with a grain of salt. But it is interesting for Campbell to go out there and outright say, hey, like, look, our defense is humming along right now. And I think what you said, Chris, is probably the most true, in that like there's going to be more schematic continuity with Shep taking over the defense versus what we're going to see on the offensive side of the ball. Although, you know, I don't expect there to be whole-scale changes on offense.
Yeah. Well, also, too, like, and I know the offense is missing some pieces as well. Like, we were talking about some of the defensive guys out, but Amon-Ra St. Brown had off-season surgery, and he wasn't there as well. And that's a pretty big thing that you just suddenly don't have to, you know, account for running defense drills out there.
Yeah,
So.
I thought instead of titling this segment, you know, take everything with a grain of salt, my takeaway was the Lions defense is still down 20 players. I thought they were supposed to get healthy in the offseason. I thought this was supposed to be a different thing. I mean, like, the other things that injury news-related stuff, Amik Robertson, right, supposed to be cleared, quote, very, very soon, per Amik Robertson, which, I mean, was maybe one of the most devastating injuries of the entire football season last year. Like, really early. Was that like snap 2 or snap 3 of the Commanders playoff game, where it was like, as long as the Lions have Amik, they stand a chance, and then
Nope.
3 snaps in, it's like, okay, all right, well, this one's going to be uphill. And then Malcolm Rodriguez likely out until November. So, I don't know. Jeremy, like you said, no Jack Campbell, no Alex Anzalone, no Derek Barnes. That's cool.
He was out. He didn't practice. He didn't play when they went on 11 on like I think he maybe did walkthroughs. He may not have done walkthroughs during my break. Like he wasn't even out there for a lot. It was a lot of who's the new guy? Grant Stewart.
Oh, love Grant Stewart.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I'm not trying to like delegitimize this entire segment at the top of it, but I think there's this hunger of like, okay, why aren't we getting more news? And it's only going to hurt more this week while every other team is doing their mandatory minicamp and the Lions are done. But like, there's nothing. Tyleik, like the draft pick, first round pick, Tyleik Williams. Let's get excited. What did you see of him, Jeremy? He did walkthroughs on one day and then didn't do anything the other day. Like, there's so little to get hype about in terms of like what has happened this spring. You know, it was a relatively quiet free agency period. They didn't do anything crazy. Well, they did do one thing crazy during the draft.
What's the crazy thing?
What was the crazy thing?
It's a law. But it's, and I think it's going to lead to more of what we're already starting to see a little bit, which is like, have the Lions peaked? And that's, to be clear, I'm not on that train at all. I just think like it's a boring offseason, and that's what happens when you're a good team is like you keep a lot of your guys.
Me and John talked about this last week too, but like there's also these even step further than that. It's like, who has the most pressure on them of teams in the NFL, and some people are going straight to the Lions in the NFC. It's like, I'm sorry. First off, the 49ers are over here with like 6 wins from last year. Everyone's favorite Super Bowl thing, and just handed their quarterback a contract. But at the same time, like, I don't think this team is going anywhere. Just because I'm kind of downgrading them from the Super Bowl doesn't mean it. I don't know. Some people had comments the other week of like, it might be time to blow it all up here pretty soon.
Oh,
it's like,
Jesus.
no. Dude, that's some 97-1 brain. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't mean to take this conversation down that road.
Well,
Yeah, no.
Can we talk
like
about
this
the
one.
actual hype that I think is deserved?
Sure.
I mean, I was at the forefront of it, so I just want
Yeah,
to
you do a little bit of
my
victory
little
lap.
victory lap.
Yeah, exactly.
Hell yeah.
Do you guys think the JMO hype has become too much? I mean, I'm asking a wet blanket, so I get it.
I mean, I don't want to say yes, because they hyped him up quite a bit last year, and they were right on that front, right? Like he did have a breakout season last year, and they were saying he looks different. He's more locked in, all that sort of stuff. And they're saying all that sort of stuff again. And I guess my takeaway from all the JMO hype in particular is that I think his target share is going to go up. I do. And I don't know what that looked like last season, but I know it paled in comparison to Amon-Ra. It probably was lower than Laporta too, I would imagine. Somewhere in the 50 to 60 range, maybe, in terms of targets. Yeah. And so, like, I do imagine that's going to go up. It seems like he's going to be a little bit more of the centerpiece. And I mean, kind of along that hype, it hasn't been as much because it's really hard to judge a running back in the spring when no one can tackle him and anything like that. But I feel like there's, like, if the JMO hype is here and I'm at about my forehead, I would say the Jahmyr Gibbs hype is like bridge of the nose. Like it's up there too. And if you have stock in either of those players, I guess I would say, yeah, buy it.
Yeah, I mean, and I think part of that too was just, again, like we talked about this when the Lions hired John Morton, right? Like, it was a very vertical offense. It was time in New York. The difference was they just didn't have the personnel, and I think people are putting 2 and 2 together and seeing oh, hey, look over there. It's JMO, who's really good and very speedy at going deep. Interesting. So, I mean, I guess I see it, but at the same time, like, I want to temper it. I like the hype, but I also feel like again, there's certain guys on this roster you just kind of take for granted. And we were doing it last year too, where it's like, how do we talk about Amon-Ra St. Brown when he still has like 8, 9, 10 catches a game, but then he's doing that every game? And that just kind of fades into the background because JMO had this big catch in the middle of it. But it's ultimately a reminder of, once again, that JMO, for as much hype as there is for it, is still like not going to be probably the first target for volume when it comes from Jared Goff. And I think that just puts a top cap on everything.
I think JMO showed to you last season why, I don't know, if there isn't a Jameson Williams lining up for this Detroit Lions roster any given week, then there isn't a Jameson Williams replacement on the roster. Like,
yeah.
he's a very unique skill set. So last year, 138 targets for Amon-Ra St. Brown in 17 games in the regular season. That's probably going to be pretty similar from year to year, right? Like, he's just going to get targeted heavily. Surprisingly, Jameson Williams in 15 games had the second most targets on the team, ahead of Sam Laporta in one less game. He had 10 more targets. And
I think people on the outside would say that would have been a down year for Laporta but granted, that's hard to follow up that rookie season. But yeah,
I think that was kind of the takeaway from this season, Chris. I think there were a lot of people that they looked at Laporta's rookie season and they held it up against his sophomore season, and I don't think it was necessarily like, oh, it's a sophomore slump. It was like, well, why aren't they using Laporta more? It's like, well, because they can throw it to a guy who averages over 17 yards per catch and can have explosive plays happen, right? So I don't know, like, I think his target share maybe does go up, but Jeremy, you bring up a good point about Gibbs. Like, how much does Gibbs' target usage change under a new offensive coordinator who might use him in a different way than Ben Johnson?
Don't tempt me. I know what you're saying. I can hear what you're saying.
2 running
this
back
the year?
sets?
It's 2 running back sets. Put them out wide. I mean, we all know that's something that they
we talked about Amir Abdullah in the break, so I think we conjured it up.
But yeah, I mean, listen, it's no secret that that's what they wanted to do with Gibbs last year. They wanted him to develop more route running from outside the backfield, not just running whatever wheel routes or angle routes or whatever out of the backfield, actually lining him up outside and running receiver routes. That's something they've really, from the moment they've drafted him, said like, oh, this isn't just a running back, right? He's an offensive weapon. The Brad Holmes-ism. He's an offensive. Forget about positional value. He's an offensive weapon, and maybe a change in OC is the thing to pull that out, or maybe just it's just having an offseason where he's healthy, right? That's possible. There's hype around Laporta too, to kind of bring it in all in. Like Dan Campbell mentioned him in the press conference. He's having a good spring so far, and then Amon-Ra was asked, who's someone who's has stuck out in practices. He's watching from the sidelines or watching the tape, and Sam Laporta is the guy that he came up with, and he kind of said the same thing that we've been saying, was like, yeah, some people thought last year was a down year for the guy, but like, he's out there still balling out. He finished with 720 yards and 7 touchdowns. And he got, as Sam Laporta thinks, he got better as a run blocker. And that was something that he focused on. And so there's only so much ball to go around. And
he dealt with a lot of injuries last year too.
Yeah, he came into the season with a big one. But like, I guess when you put it all together, it's still like, you still need to remind yourself and almost pinch yourself at the spoils that we have as offensive weapons, that we have an Amon-Ra, a Jamison Williams, a Sam Laporta, and a Jahmyr Gibbs. Like, having all 4 of those guys who are arguably all at the top of their positions. I know we're all sad about Frank Ragnow, and we should be, but let's not forget the bigger picture here. They have a lot of weapons. They still have a couple of really good offensive linemen and a lot of young offensive linemen. And, we didn't even mention Tim Patrick or David Montgomery or Khalif Raymond, guys that can ball too.
Sure. I would say, though, to counter this just a bit, just for the sake of like fleshing this out, my issue with the Lions has never been their weapons. It's now going to be, I think most people, what they haven't said when they're talking about Frank Ragnow moving away isn't even the effect on like the run game. It's the question of what's Jared Goff going to look like without Frank Ragnow holding up the center. And if this offense can't run through Jared Goff, then it can't run, is ultimately what the problem kind of comes down to.
No question.
Have to run.
What's that?
Or they'll have to run.
They'll have to run a lot. And granted, we know that's not a problem. Shannon Sharp voice, that ain't no problem.
I don't want to see Jared Goff running, though. That's the concern.
No, God, no.
Hendon Hooker season? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that the Packers have a quarterback that they're not starting when he's very clearly the best quarterback on the roster.
Bryce Perkins, is he available?
Oh, man. Please, let's not do this one. No.
My God.
You can't get into the Slack room for that one.
The one other thing I want to mention, too, was who's the new wide receiver coach?
Scotty Moe.
Who Jahmyr Gibbs has a relationship with as a running back coach, right? Mm-hmm. It's a nice guy to maybe be coaching him up on the old wide receiver game.
Interesting. I do have one more note to talk about from OTAs.
Take that, RotoWire. Aggregate that.
Aggregate it. We're done with the offense. Can I do this one note from the what is with that like very motivated face, Jeremy?
I am squishing a tick to death. That is what that face is for.
Fantastic. I have no way to transition this to Ennis Rakestraw without making it sound very bad. Let's talk about
crushing it this offseason.
He is crushing it. Hopefully not to death. Seems like there is a lot of focus on him, again, moving to the outside, being an outside CB, not nickel, which has kind of been the traditional position for him in college. But, I mean, the Lions are pretty well set at nickel and for the CB. So how do we feel about this move?
Can I have a take real quick?
Yeah, please.
I am of the belief that if the Lions can see through that either one of Terrion Arnold or Ennis Rakestraw come through, those were 2 worthwhile draft picks to make. Like if one of them pans out, if just one of them pans out as an outside corner and it's like, cool, like you're a guy we can trust moving forward, then I think it was worth it. I think it was worth the draft pick investment. You signed DJ Reed, and they have guys who can play inside, right? Like I know it's the last year of Amik Robertson's deal, but I think that the Lions have shown that they're pretty resourceful and that they can get guys who can do that, whether it's Brian Branch in his rookie season or it's you sign Amik Robertson and he plays that spot, or I mean, Ennis Rakestraw was a front runner at that position. I think if you hit on either one of Terrion Arnold or Ennis Rakestraw, specifically as an outside corner though, so that's what I think makes all of this really interesting, Jeremy. I think if you hit on one of those 2 guys, then it was worth the investment to pick both those guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think you still need to get something out of that other guy. If he's not a starter, that's okay, though, right? I think that's probably what you're saying.
Yes, yeah.
Because, I mean, you don't have to go too far into the Lions' history to understand the importance of CB3 on any roster, right? Like, how many times did we have to suffer through Nevin Lawson in the final half of a season, or Jerry Jacobs had to play so much his rookie season, and I know a lot of people love Jerry Jacobs, but what team has he been on in the past 2 years? Like,
do we have to talk about Will Harris right now, Jeremy?
Exactly. Perfect example. Yeah. Right. So the point being, like, if one of those guys is a solid CB3 for you for the next 3, 4, 6 years, that's not a bad thing. That guy is going to play. And I've been a little bit down on this move, I'm not going to lie, because it's a bummer for Ennis Rakestraw to currently be in a position in which almost certainly the only way he's going to get on the field is injury, because you have, and for the next 3 years, right? Like, the Lions are going to allow him to compete with Terrion Arnold. They're going to allow him to compete with DJ Reed, but they spent a first round pick on Terrion Arnold. They spent $2 million on DJ Reed. Those are your 2 almost certain starting outside corners for the next 3 years. And that just puts Ennis in a tough spot, right?
Are we saying he for sure can't outperform Terrion Arnold in camp?
I'm not excluding that possibility, but I would be surprised, right? And because of the
we'd all be surprised. We'd all be surprised. He has an entire year's worth of starting experience.
That's what I was going to say. Is the experience? It's the fact that they drafted him 30 picks higher, but it's also the fact that Terrion is now 1 year ahead of his development with actual game playing experience. But they're going to allow him to compete. I mean, Dan Campbell said it. He's like, I think he was asked, like, okay, so like, what's the future of Ennis if he's on the outside? And his answer was that's up to Ennis. That's up to him. And it sounds like there was some encouraging things from OTAs. I'll say it was a very mixed day, and that might be being a little bit kind to him on the one OTA that I saw. So I am a little bit wary of the depth at nickel right now, because while I have full confidence in Amik, Avante, who's probably going to be a primary backup safety, did not play particularly well at nickel in Philly, which is why
talked about by Dan Campbell, though, as one of his guys that stood out to him.
He did. Maybe it's, I mean, he essentially got benched for a rookie last year. Turned out to be a pretty good rookie, to be fair.
Pretty good rookie, though, right? I mean, come on.
Yeah. But I don't know. There needs to be a long-term plan there at nickel too, right? Amik is on the back half of a 2-year deal, and who else is there for a long-term plan at nickel? I don't know. So, in an ideal world, I would have loved to have DJ Reed, Terrion Arnold, and Ennis Rakestraw as your 3 starting cornerbacks for the future, but it doesn't look like that's in the cards yet. I don't want to also discount the possibility that Ennis eventually kicks back inside. They just said, like, last year was a little bit too much on his plate, so we want him to focus on outside now. Maybe this year is just a year at outside, and then they reassess next year.
Yeah, Chris, let me ask you this then. Because Amik Robertson, according to himself, is very, very close to coming back. and he played so well at nickel, why wouldn't you want Ennis Rakestraw to rep outside? Because is there a path to him starting at nickel over Amik Robertson?
No, not right now. I think, again, the question is always going to be long-term, but, I mean...
Is it just as easy for him to maybe get some work on the outside and then move back to the inside next year?
And it would help, in general, again, like Amik played both outside and at nickel through the year as well. So, ideally that makes you pretty well diverse. I would like to see him get some snaps as far as nickel just to make sure he's ready to go. Because, again, as always, the issue is you missed your rookie year. Most of your rookie year. So, it once again is like a development issue that the Lions kind of have to deal with, but I'm perfectly fair with where he's at. And if Amik's the hot hand right now, you got to run with the hot hand going into the season.
Yeah, there's 3 spots, right? And I think 2 of them are for sure taken up with DJ Reed and Amik Robertson. I would say that Terrion Arnold is a 98%. I'll say that there's a non-0% chance that Ennis Rakestraw maybe outperforms him in camp. I think that Terrion is by far the front runner, but
especially with the leadership stuff. Like, I know Jeremy wrote about it today about Arnold's role with the veterans as well. There's definitely some leadership that's coming from him.
Yeah, there was a lot of growth with Terrion, though, right? Like, if Terrion starts the first 4 weeks and he's the same handsy defender that he was in the first 4 weeks of his rookie season, I mean, Ennis Rakestraw can play football. Like, I just am of the belief that Rakestraw can't displace those 2 guys, Amik or DJ Reed. So it's like there's one spot for him to play, and it's on the outside. So, why not get the guy outside reps?
It's fair.
Yeah. I think we've emptied the notebook. Do we have anything else to add?
We're entering the void now. No.
I don't want to think about the void.
You know what we need? We need an Aiden Hutchinson extension stat. That's what we need to breathe some life into this offseason a little bit.
A Trey Hendrickson trade, Chris.
Stop it.
No. I keep thinking of games, and I keep thinking of interesting questions to talk about for the offseason, and those are looming here sooner than you would like. So we'll start hitting on them here pretty soon because, it always wets the whistle. I'm like, Ryan, we're almost to the point of the sports calendar where there's only baseball.
It's not true, though. We found out that there's also tennis.
I was specifically talking about the fact that the UFL championship is set with the Michigan Panthers. One more game.
I hope the Michigan Panthers do well.
I do. You know what? This is going to say in the podcast, do you want them to do well, or can you stomach the idea of another team before the Lions lift a championship in Ford Field?
But it won't be at Ford Field, will it?
It's true.
It's down in Birmingham.
But
I think
they're home in Ford Field.
Right.
Will they have to raise a banner in Ford Field?
They better not. I don't want to see a Michigan
UFL
Panthers
champion.
banner in there. I really don't.
Do you think the Lions would have a problem because Bates would go back to the UFL? I want to play for a championship caliber team.
I need a ring. I'm going to go to the UFL.
Chase a ring.
By the way,
I propose that. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Bryce Perkins is fun to watch, but that team is I've been so spoiled by Dan Campbell that I get so irate about the game management of the Michigan Panthers and Mike Nolan and not going for it on 4th and 1 from midfield and just not using his timeouts right. It's infuriating and it makes me not want to root for the Michigan Panthers.
Like watching a Jim Caldwell team.
It is. It really is.
I mean,
you're not disrespect to two
about the guy who was the San Francisco 49ers head coach back in the aughts.
Oh, yeah. But I propose that maybe we start a segment at the beginning of each show during this off-season void that we have, and it's just a quick one, Chris, but has Frank Ragnow filed his retirement papers? So we'll just do that until he finally does it.
Because until you were really close to the season and rubber's hitting the road with a potential fine or something, there's no reason to file that. There's no rush on them, I think is the right way to put it. There's zero rush in the NFL from talking with guys who have retired to throughout an entire offseason to file those papers until you absolutely need to.
If Kelsey can come in the 11th hour and save the tush push, maybe Frank can come back when the Lions need him most.
Don't. You don't get that hope. Just don't.
We're starting a Twitter account that's just has Frank retired yet, and it just
Frank officially retired.
And every day it just posts the I think there's a chance or whatever the Dumb and Dumber. So you're saying there's a chance every single day until it's actually on the transaction wire.
And then just a big just quote tweeting drill, just the one word tweet. No,
you know he's officially going to retire tomorrow.
Yeah,
right?
Yep, 100%.
8 a.m. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll get out of here. We'll have a mailbag later in the week.
Yes.
Right. Okay. I'm just putting words in your mouth, but yes, we'll have that. And more rewards and stuff to come. I got to get Jeremy out of here so he can go do his other podcast with the Talking Grit guys. Thanks to them for joining us 2 weeks ago on our PODcast and donating to the Rogel Cancer Center Foundation during our Movember charity. And we will have another Movember charity coming up here in Movember. Wow. Okay. I'm running out of words to say. Anything else? Anything else we need to get? Jeremy, that's okay. Both of them are shaking their heads no on an audio podcast. That's fantastic. I've taught these guys very well about the art of radio and podcasts. Goodbye, everyone. We will see you Starside.
Recording stopped.
Okay.
Oops.
All right.
There we go. All right. Couple alerts real quick. I am sweating, so I'm going to have to open the windows here in a minute.
Yeah, the marine layer is completely gone. It's getting up to like 87 right now, so.
Ice Cecil, thank you for the 44 months. California Lions, 23 months, says, let's talk special teams, baby. Absolutely not. Zern Baby Zern, 47 months, says, pro baseball is boring. College baseball is worse. And Cats Mod, thank you for the follow.
It's a hell of a thing to say when you guys have these Tigers doing as well as they are, and they are absolutely not going to sign Tariq Skubal, so get used to watching him while you can.
Stop it.
Cheap son of Pizza Man. The cheap son of Pizza Man. What can I say?
Not getting into this. Not getting into this. Should they trade him now? We're not going to pay him. Trade him.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying put the fucking contract out there right now.
Why? Still signed for 2 more years, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think 2 more years of team control, but
maybe he'll retire like Frank Ragnow if he doesn't get a new deal.
Oh, stop.
Okay.
Jesus Christ.
There's
no Tigers tonight, too. I'm like going to be extremely bored.
Yeah, because we know you don't like hockey.
I'll watch hockey. Well, I mean, granted, this. Hey, man, how many more years are we going to have of TNT Sports now, too?
Yeah,
they're like completely blowing up. It's very funny. We've gone through all of this, Ryan, of Warner, Discovery, and now it's once again going to be Warner and Discovery.
Max is now HBO Max again.
We're going backwards.
We are going backwards. To go forwards, though, which is most important. But, yeah, I mean, this hockey series, I can't wait. I can't wait to watch this game.
No, I'll watch it. I want to see. I think one of our other bets was about Leon Draisaitl goals, so I've got to watch.
I'm a big fan of watching that rat Brad Marchand score.
Rat.
Like, he went to the perfect team where they, like, throw rats on the ice.
It's true.
He's going to grow up to be a rat. His whole family's full of rats.
You can't possibly like him, though, right?
Brad Marchand?
Yeah.
I mean, I hated him when he was with Boston, and he was a pain in the side for the Red Wings. But
yeah.
Are you guys rooting for the Canadian team? Like, I had a lot of conversation. Okay.
I am, but not because of like, oh, Canada hasn't won in blah, blah, blah. I don't care about that.
You just don't like the Panthers.
I don't like the Panthers, and I do like, what's his name?
McDavid.
McJesus.
With Jeebus.
I get so many texts from friends who don't watch hockey that are watching hockey because it is the doldrums of getting to that point of sports, and they're just like,
and we're getting like 4 days between NBA games.
it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, get on the court, shut up and dribble. Right?
Dude, I think so. The next game's like Wednesday, and then it's Friday, and then like they're not playing a game on Sunday, Ryan. It's a Monday would be game 4. Or game 5, excuse me.
Oh, they don't want to play on Father's Day?
Is that what that is?
I guess. I don't know. Well, hold on. Wait. It also would coincide with the final round at the U.S. Open.
That'll be done by then.
Look.
As someone who is going to be doing update anchoring, the U.S. Open will be finished by 8:30.
Agreed. Here's the thing. This has to be a way harder job scheduling than it appears to be because, like, I feel like I could take over as the head of NHL scheduling next year and it'll be so much better.
Do it.
Do it.
I'll put it in my resume. I just don't think I have enough on it.
What were your... I'm pins and needles here. What have your friends been texting you about the NHL playoffs?
Oh, that they're just like, this McDavid guy, is he like the best player of all time? 'Cause it's like
that assist he had was insane last game.
Like, he's just so fast and skilled.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like if you are from like the Detroit area and you watch Andrea Anthony,
Oh my god.
and you're like, oh yeah, like that guy's super fast, but man, he can't hold on to the puck. Like, okay, but it's like that guy, but he's like maybe one of the best like puck handlers and has like some of the best vision and creativity. I truly think he could be like the greatest hockey player of all time.
Whoa.
But like you have to win a Stanley Cup to like even enter the chat.
But he's still early in his career, relatively early.
Well, hey, listen, I will give it a chance, and I will watch a period tonight, and if that intermission goes too long, I'm going to end up probably putting on, like, a Giants game or something.
But you know the good thing about NHL coverage is they have a timer during intermissions.
They do, and they put it right behind them, which is awesome.
I love that, because
that is a good change. They used to not do that. I love that change.
That way I don't have to listen to a thing that what's-his-name has to say. PK Subban.
Oh, Subban.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, it is on TNT tonight, so it won't be Subban.
I don't know who's in TNT's coverage.
Wayne Gretzky.
Oh, God.
Paul Bissonnette from Spit and Chicklets. And then usually it's like Henrik Lundqvist. Like, he's on there a lot for, like, goalie perspective kind of thing, and just because he, like, looks real clean and good in a suit.
That is a very big stark difference from Henrik Lundqvist when he was a player who was not clean.
Versus Mark Messier, who sometimes gets like very like old man, like
yelling at the cloud.
Is that surprising though?
Not really, but like I can't believe that I find him more tolerable than PK Subban.
Subban really wants to jump on that ESPN talking head train.
Oh my gosh.
He really wants to get on that fast track, man.
He just really, like, as soon as he leaned all the way into the hockey
versus
players
baseball,
hockey players are the toughest athletes because they play with torn ACLs and
get a job.
Like, why do you have to prove that your sport is so tough?
Go home and get a job.
I mean, that's what I hate about all sports. I'm no fun in that I don't like comparing things to other things. Like, just enjoy the things that we have. Yeah. I don't care who's the GOAT.
The worst right now.
Yes.
It makes it an NBA the fucking worst right now.
That's the biggest complaint about the NBA coverage, right, Chris? Is like it's the complaint where it's like, I don't know if you like basketball.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I hate that Inside the NBA is going away, but that is ground zero of guys who shit on everything the current sport is right now. Like, I understand everyone's very sad to see Kenny and all those guys go away, but I'm sorry, Shaq, Kenny, all those guys, all they do is just bitch about the current game.
And aren't they all coming back? Like, aren't they all? I thought they were all going to ESPN or is it NBC?
No, it would be ES. Oh, that's a good. I don't. Well, because they're getting. You know what? Jordan's going to be awful at color for NBC. I can say that right now.
Yeah, it says that NBA. So they're 11
I don't know
years, $76 billion.
With how much sport betting is integrated into the broadcast these days, I think Michael Jordan's going to be Jordan's going to be a perfect fit. I wish I hadn't butchered that. I almost called him Michael Jackson.
Don't you think he should do like the DraftKings or like the FanDuel like?
Absolutely, like lean into it. I don't know if like he kept it a secret for so long that maybe he's like embarrassed about it. But like everyone that knows anything about Michael Jordan knows that he was a chronic gambler, right?
It's why he went to baseball.
Degenerate gambler.
It's why he went to baseball, right?
Did you guys hear the story that Jeremy Roenick told on a podcast about Jordan, where
No.
The Blackhawks had the day off. He went to go play golf with Jordan, and they played, I think, like 36 holes, and like Jordan had to play that night, like against the Cavaliers, and Roenick beat him in both rounds. And he said that Jordan was just like drinking beer like the whole day, loses both the rounds to Roenick, and when he's like, all right, pay up, like Jordan's like, I bet you double or nothing that like I'll score this many points tonight and we'll beat the Cavaliers by like 15 or something. And Roenick's like, okay, you're on. He's like, I just watched the guy like play 36 holes of golf and drink like 12 beers. And then they won by, over 15 points and Jordan had like 40 or something like that. It's like, okay, like you just got taken by like a degenerate gambler. Like it's the whole
that sounds very familiar.
Is it the coin against the wall? Was that the thing from the Last Dance documentary that he was playing, where like you have to like bounce the coin against the wall, and like the closer it lands to the wall?
Yeah,
it sounds like a particular friend of mine who is who is trying to angle his way out of a wings bet with someone he may or may not be co-hosting a radio show with, and he's like, "Don't you want to get your Jordans back instead?"
There was a story too about Jordan.
Your Jordans are already gambled away.
He would bet his teammates whose luggage was going to come off the plane first, and then he would pay the people at luggage
handling the luggage.
To make sure that
Look, man, I can't say anything else about this, but like, why did he go to baseball?
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you get in a little deep with the Sharks. I don't know.
Sounds like we
and
need
David
some
Stearns over you, and David Stearns standing right over you.
Tinfoil hats in the chat.
I don't even know if that deserves a tinfoil. It's pretty well fucking no.
Good times. All right.
All right. I'm gonna go get Thai food.
I think it's time to get out of here. I will be on Talking Grit in 90 minutes. Oh, nice.
Play some Mario Kart.
Nice. Are you still doing your boxing?
I fell off the wagon a bit. Part of that is also so I have a 2-week story. Sorry, this place is really messy right now. The ketchup's right in the way. That right there is an incomplete drafting table that has been sitting in my apartment for 2 weeks now as I await a replacement part because it wasn't drilled properly, so I can't actually fit one of the screws in. So I fell off. I had a bad mood swing week, and then I've completely fallen off. So I haven't boxed in like 2 weeks now. Now that I have this, I can actually get back to boxing, though.
There you go.
But I now have a giant piece of metal sitting in the middle of my apartment and no room really to move around either. So we'll
good
see.
luck with that.
I'm gonna get back on it this week, and I'll post about it if I do. But yeah, I gotta get this place cleaned.
All right.
All right. Well, get a capture card. Start streaming your Switch too, and
I do actually have a capture card. I do have an auto card on here. So yeah.
There you go.
I haven't done Tiki Tuesdays in a while, but and not this week, but maybe next.
All right. We'll be back with the midweek mailbag either Tuesday night or Wednesday night. Still working out the date with Eric. And that'll be it for podcasting this week. Maybe.
Hell yeah.
I'm working on a first bite for Pride of Detroit Direct subscribers, but a Georgia writer has been difficult to find. And
That's
available.
very hard. Wait.
Yeah.
Okay, and available. I was going to say,
yes.
there's plenty of Georgia writers. I
We-
can even point you to a couple.
I have played schedule tag with one person in particular for about 5 straight weeks. I've probably come into contact with 3 or 4 other guys. But anyways, that's the schedule for a week. Thank you for watching. Make sure you leave reviews and stuff if you're still into that. If you haven't done it, if you love our podcast
nice.
and you haven't given us a review,
Also,
by
we
now,
should probably
go do it.
evangelize about the live streams. I know it's the dead of summer or everything, but I think, we're still trying to get back the audience we really lost last year during the during
Hiatus.
everything.
I hate it. Exactly.
Speaking of which, looking at you, Vox.
You laughing at that tweet?
Tick,
I
tick,
am.
tick, tick,
It's a
tick.
very funny tweet that we're not going to talk about on air.
All right.
Wait, can you at least send it to me? So
It's in off topic if you want to look at it.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
All right, we're gonna get out here. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for all the